Welcome to PsychicBent. My name is Carrie.
And I'm Kim. We are two sisters wanting to help other psychics learn and grow in their abilities and to help educate about spirits, angels, and everything psychic. Welcome back, everyone, to PsychicBent. Thank you so much for joining us today. This episode, we are going to be covering additional ways to develop your clairs, which might resonate with others of you in the audience. Considering our first episodes, we had so much information in those other episodes that we just wanted to kind of focus on the development of these different clairs that are out there, at least the major clairs, and we thought it might be more helpful to you to have the development broken out on how to do those. So the first one that we're going to be starting with, well, Carrie, why don't you go ahead and tell us which one we're going to start with and how we can better develop it.
Oh, absolutely. First of all, poor Kim. I'm like, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to start work on developing the clairs. I picked clairvoyance. You pick 3 more. And totally, she didn't even see it coming. So she picked the 3 that she wanted, and I wouldn't let her pick clairvoyance.
No, you wouldn't.
It was mine. She couldn't have it. That's the thing about when it's your idea. You can pick what you want. Obviously, the first one we're going to talk about is clairvoyance. Now, we've talked about this on many occasions, and we've had listeners who appreciate the fact that we do explain that these abilities are not like what you see on the movies and on TV.
Right.
With clairvoyance, that's the ability to get knowledge or insight about something through extrasensory perception. So clairvoyance is also called clear seeing. And what that gift allows you is to perceive things beyond your physical senses through visions, seeing symbols, seeing impressions that all come from the spiritual realm, and they're normally seen in your mind's eye. When you get a clairvoyant hit, now some people, this is a very natural clair for them, and it's just more about figuring out what the symbols mean. Others, this is one you have to develop because it's not one of your strong clairs. And I think clairvoyance is one that everybody wants to have, they think, until they develop it. Kim, have you had clairvoyant hits?
I'm sure I have. I know I have.
Where you just get a video or a picture and you're like, what the heck was that?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Yeah, why did I just get this Polaroid snapshot of a dog?
Mm-hmm.
Random. That is a clairvoyant hit. But because it's not a clair that you or I have, I would say you and I probably could use more developing of this particular clair. I know I can. But I think we could always use more developing on anything. But with this particular clair, you're trusting in what you're seeing and nothing else. So if you are, as a side note, like clairaudience, you're hearing everything.
Right.
So if clairaudient is your strong clair, it's going to be difficult for you to do clairvoyance because you have to tune out the hearing and focus on the vision.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're wanting to work on your clairvoyance, you have to be very mindful that I'm shutting all the other clairs out of this. I'm only looking for pictures. I'm only looking for symbols or visions or impressions that I can see in my mind's eye. And that, I think, is where a lot of times we get hits and we don't acknowledge those hits were either one of the clairs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I saw a screenshot. It's like a screenshot in my mind's eye. Driving down the road and I see this. I'm like, where the heck did that come from? Well, clairaudience is my stronger clair. Being that I didn't hear it, I'm discarding it. When actually I'm getting a clairvoyant hit, that's kind of the reason why we're going into the different ways to develop clairs, is we want to have some different ways to help you develop your clair. But, I mean, because, when we talked about clairs very early on, there was a lot of information, wasn't it, Kim?
Oh, so much information. We didn't even give all the information.
No, it was overwhelming for us to even do that series. And this is going to be a series too, because we're not going to be able to get all the 6 of the ones that we want to cover into one podcast. So when you think of developing clairvoyance, you need to, or any of the clairs, you need to focus on what is that clair? What does it do? whatever it does, that's what you need to concentrate on. So if clairvoyance comes easy, very easy for you, you got to shut that off when you're trying to develop another clair.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that doesn't mean you're going to lose that ability. You're just going to gain more ability by developing another clair to put in your toolbox, your psychic toolbox.
Right. Personally, what happens with me is I'll just be walking along or driving along or just sitting there doing nothing. And all of a sudden, I will have, like you said, it's not a screenshot for me. It is like I'm reliving a moment. But yet
Yeah,
I sit there and think, wait a minute, I don't remember that ever happening to me. You know what I'm saying?
exactly.
I
Yeah,
have, I have to identify, is that my memory or
yeah,
was this just a hit, you know?
yeah. It's funny. I get more hits when I'm driving.
Mm-hmm. Because you're concentrating, you're focused.
Right. If I'm just sitting at home on the couch, doing whatever. Because something about driving for a distance is almost, to me, mesmerizing. And I don't know if I'm sure you've had that happen, Kim, but you're driving a route you normally go all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And you find yourself all of a sudden farther down the road than you realized. And you're kind of like, wait, how'd I get here so fast? You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I've had that, and it's freaked me out every time it has happened to me.
Yeah, it happened to me this morning again. I'm like going, ah.
Looking in the
What
rearview
happened
mirror, do I see anybody off the road? You know?
Are there flashing lights behind me? What's
Yeah.
going on? But when you think about it, that's one of your clairs or some of your psychic ability has clicked in. And luckily the spirit guides protect you during that period and that you're not, running people off the roads or going down the wrong way on a one-way street. And when you stop and think, where was your mind? What had popped into your mind during this period? And I think what happens is you get, I don't know about you, I get so shocked by it that I forget what was just in my mind.
Definitely.
How did I get here? That is where you're receiving psychic information, but you're not realizing you're getting psychic information. And then it's just kind of like, oh, wait a minute. Whoa, how did I get here?
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad my feeling does that. But because you almost get a trance-like state when you drive.
Yes.
You're focused on the road. You're looking straight ahead. You glance down the speedometer. Some of us do, some of us don't. You just keep on going. You know what I'm saying? And I think, especially, I go to work early in the morning. It's dark. I go at dark 30 and there's hardly any cars on the road. And it doesn't happen every time I drive. It's just periodically. It's just like, whoa. I mean, I've even missed an exit before.
Yes. Yep.
Like, oh, wait a minute. What happened? And I'm not asleep.
At least you hope you're not.
Well, no, my car has an alarm if I'm swerving and stuff. It yells at me. So none of that's going on. Just want to throw that out there because I think that's a lot of times for me, I get more of the visual stuff coming in at that point,
Mm-hmm.
not the hearing.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I get the hearing more. I seem to like to hear my name in a crowd when there's nobody I know in the crowd.
Oh, gosh. Yes, that happens a lot to me, too.
I wonder if Spirit finds that funny.
Very funny.
I can make her turn around and watch this. Hold my beer, kind of thing. Carrie, Kim, it's just like, what? Yeah, who just,
I have such anxiety in crowds. And then to hear my name and looking around and seeing nobody that I recognize freaks me out even more.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody's looking at you.
Yeah.
And, you're looking like the crazy person going, what? Oh, never mind.
Yeah, because I'm at most people's belly buttons anyway, so that's all my view.
You give me short girl thing.
Yeah, I am short girl thing. That's my view.
Well, we can't change your view.
No.
So you may have to just look up higher.
I can guarantee Spirit's laughing at that every time.
Yeah. Well, I do believe Spirit has a sense of humor.
Uh-huh.
I do believe that. Yes.
So does my higher self, so.
Yes, so there we go. Let's get back to clairvoyance.
Okay.
Things pop in your head. We like to bring them out and talk about them because it might resonate with someone.
Mm-hmm.
But do bear with us when we go down those different side roads because, Kim and I both are firm believers in if it's popped into your head, it's popped in there for a reason.
Yeah.
A lot of the information that we're going to give is not new. Wouldn't you agree, Kim?
Sure. Yeah, I'd agree.
A few techniques might be new or different, but a lot of the stuff that we've been saying all along is going to pop up. So we're not nagging you. It just other people agree that these things are very important, which leads me to one of the best ways to develop your clairvoyance is meditation, because you need inner clarity. So it's very important. When you meditate, that is a great way to develop your clairvoyance, because you're going to calm the mind. And when you think about it, when you're driving down the highway, your mind is calm, isn't it? Well, unless Kim's in traffic.
Yeah, I was
Unless
going to
Kim's
say,
in traffic.
yeah, most of the time, yes, you're right.
Yeah, right. When you think about meditation, you have worked on quieting the constant chatter of your mind. You're quieting the mind, so that's going to help you to see better. And you need to allow your intuitive senses to step forward when you meditate. So when you get that deep relaxation, it's almost like you're opening a door for a clearer vision, insights, impressions to emerge. There's just simple ways to start on meditation, because I know a lot of people panic. Oh my gosh, I can't I can't shut my mind down. You go through that whole gauntlet. Some people get anxiety to meditate, and meditation is supposed to help you with anxiety. And because I'm not going to do it right, I can't. My mind won't stop. Someone needs to use the bathroom, and I'm in the bathroom trying to meditate. You've got all these different scenarios that can play through your mind. When you start to meditate, you just want to do something very simple. Sit quietly for 10 to 15 minutes each day and just focus on your breathing. And like driving down the highway, you're focused on what's ahead of you, so your mind's more open to receive things. Focusing on breathing, your mind is occupied with breathe in, breathe out. And so that's keeping the chatter more quiet, because you're concentrating on your breathing. Now, the more you get more comfortable with that, then you're going to begin to imagine a light in the center of your forehead, basically your third eye. You want to start to visualize your third eye, because your third eye represents clairvoyance ability, because you're seeing through your mind's eye.
Mm-hmm.
You want to visualize that light in the middle of your head while you're meditating. Visualize it growing brighter with each breath, because remember, you're breathing in, you're concentrating on breathing out. You want to concentrate on that, expanding the light until it fills your entire head with clarity and insight. Obviously, this is going to take some practice. So your first go around, you may not see the light. It might take some time. But practicing on seeing the light is a way of practicing seeing, which of course is what clairvoyance is all about.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing with your intuition, seeing with your third eye. So you can't really rush this process. You just got to be aware and let it happen. So like the first time, you may have to sit for, who knows, everybody's mind is different, and meditating may come easier to some than others. But just do the 10 to 15 minutes on your breathing. And if you're the type of person that needs to set a schedule, like I need to be able to start visualizing by Monday, and it's Friday of the last week, then you're going to need to work on the weekend of sitting and doing these exercises. And if you don't see the light at first, that's okay. You keep trying. We keep talking about being gentle with yourself. If clairvoyance is not your strong muscle, it's not going to come off strongly. You can't expect to, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to bench press 100 pounds barbells. Okay, you're lucky if you get 3 pounds of barbells, if you've never worked out. You have to look at these as their muscles that have not been toned, have not been worked out. Even if you're getting intermittent hits with clairvoyance, you still have to work through and just go through the process and be gentle with yourself. Once you're able to see the light in the middle of your forehead, then you can naturally, each time you do it, it'll be there and get bigger. Now, meditation also helps remove any mental blocks or distractions that can hinder your clairvoyance. That's why regular meditation can sharpen any of your psychic abilities, but also can bring a sense of peace and centeredness to your life. It is important, and I know we talk about it a lot, But the stronger your connection to clairvoyance will become the more you do meditate, because you're tapping into seeing visions. And guided meditations, a lot of times, are all about seeing visions. Imagining yourself walking on a beach, those kind of things.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's the first one. So, like I talked about in meditating, I apologize, my cat is crying, wants attention. You're visualizing the light for your third eye. So the next step obviously would be to work on strengthening your third eye chakra. Now, the third eye chakra, like we've talked about before, is in the center of your forehead, and that is the energetic seat of your clairvoyance. So clairvoyance comes straight out of that third eye. What you want to do to activate and to strengthen your third eye is to focus on energy work and visualization techniques specifically designed to open that particular chakra. A simple way to start is to imagine a deep indigo or violet light pulsing in the area during your meditation. And that's the two colors that are associated with the third eye. And those colors also help stimulate psychic vision. So when the first step, when you're meditating, you're seeing the light. If you want to then meditate and see a indigo or violet light, now you're starting to work the third eye chakra by doing that. You can also chant the mantra Om. That resonates with the vibration of the third eye chakra. You can chant and then visualize sound waves penetrating your third eye, and that's going to be clearing away any blockages, awaken your inner sight. Another technique you can use is crystals like amethyst, lapis lazuli, or clear quartz. Those are all three stones known to enhance intuition, and you can place the crystal on your forehead during meditation, or you can carry it with you throughout the day to help strengthen your third eye. Now, for me, I've had the situation where the stone falls off my head while laying there meditating, so I would be more apt to carry it with me because I'd be thinking, is it going to stay? Is it going to fall off?
Too distracted. I totally get it.
Yeah, for personal experience, that's too distracting for me because I've not had good luck with it. But if you have a head that's not as round as mine, I guess, I don't know, maybe that crystal didn't want to work with me that day.
Yeah.
Yeah. But working with your third eye chakra regularly will help you get a stronger connection with your clairvoyance, because your third eye is where you get the visions and the dreams and the sudden insights from when you're doing clairvoyance. Okay. Now, dreams are a very powerful way to access your clairvoyance messages, because we've talked about before where sometimes that's the only way spirit can connect with you or communicate with you is in your dreams, because that's the only state you're not trying to run away from your abilities or run away or keep busy or not want to think about. And that's a lot of times that's what we do as ungrounded psychics, or not realizing we're psychic.
Mm-hmm.
Things are happening to us and we're just running away because we don't, weird things in the dream, we don't want to acknowledge certain things. And usually we receive messages in our dreams and we do that.
Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, that's a great way to also, dreams are a great way to access your clairvoyant messages. So while you're asleep, your conscious mind is at rest. So your subconscious and your intuitive mind kind of take over, which makes sense with why you might get more psychic hits or do astral travel or do all these other things in your sleep, that crazy dreams that you're like trying to do, what the heck just happened last night? That's a way that your intuition, your subconscious, and your guides can all kind of step in together and kind of, try to guide you or show you things that you need to see. The best way to tap into this is going to be, I know you've heard it before, keep a journal, but a dream journal next to your bed. So you can write down as many dreams, as much as the dream as you can remember. So you really need to do that as soon as you wake up, because as the morning goes on and the day goes on, you lose that memory of that dream.
Definitely.
Yeah, you lose certain things of it. Over time, during this practice, you're going to start to notice patterns or recurring symbols in your dreams. Now, those symbols will have a basically important message from your higher self or your spirit guides. You want to try to write those down so you can figure out the meaning of those symbols, so you can kind of be able to understand the symbols when you see them, and they'll make sense. Like if you constantly seeing this particular symbol and you finally feel, oh my, this symbol means this. So the next time you have that dream and you get that symbol, you know exactly what that dream was about.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Sometimes the clarity of a dream comes much later when you review your journal, and you did that, Kim. You had gone through your journal, your dream journal, and realized that you were having several dreams that were recurring, didn't you?
Yes. Yeah, I did.
You think you would have like, oh, I've had this dream before. But, usually when you feel like that, it's deja vu. It's not a dream you had before.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that's why that journal is important, because, you go back through later and you get that clarity and you're like, oh, wait, I've had this dream like 6 times. So you notice that you're having these same dreams or these same symbols showing up. Well, that's where now you can have your intuition or your spirit guides teach you, okay, let me have a clear and meaningful vision now. And you can ask that, set the intention. I've had this dream of this happening. Please show me and give me clear visions of what this dream means. And then wait and see what happens in your dream.
Right. Yeah, ask it before you go to sleep. Definitely. Yep.
Now, this one I think is really important to which they're all important, but I think that this one makes a lot of sense to me, is visualization. Is key for developing your clairvoyance, because you have to see things in your mind's eye. So working on your mind and training your mind to create and hold images will help strengthen this particular clair. So just like you want to start simple, you don't want to I'm going to visualize the entire painting of Monet's whatever. It's got all these colors and swirls and you know what I'm saying? That would be hard.
Yes, it would be.
So start simple. You can close your mind and just imagine an object in as much detail as possible. So it could be something as simple as a pine tree, an apple, something simple that you can visualize in your mind. Focus on the color, the shape, the texture of other qualities that particular object has. And you can even do this with a card. Like if you wanted to do it, if you had a tarot deck or an oracle deck, you could take a card from the deck and just visualize everything of that card. Look at it for a while. Okay, and now imagine that card. See it in your mind's eye.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And hold it in your mind as long as you can, because things fly out. And I mean, that's probably not the way you're supposed to say it, but I'll be meditating and I feel like, oh, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, that didn't last long. Because, that particular muscle needs worked on, evidently. You want to hold the image in your mind, and it might be better to do even a playing card, like we talked about, how you could use playing cards as a divining tool. Use a playing card or a greeting card that somebody gave you, something with a picture on it. It's simple, not high detailed, very simple, not complex, simple. Imagine it in your mind. Keep it there. As you become more comfortable with this, move on to more complex scenes, where it could be imagining yourself walking through a forest or a meadow or a beach. And then you're going to notice everything that's around you, the trees, the sky, the sounds, but you're going to not hear the thing, see them, see most of it. Help to stretch your visual imagination. Try not to I said listen to the sound, look for the sounds of what's going on, but try not to let your clairaudience or any other clairs overpower what you're working on, which your clairvoyance. But try to visualize as much as you can. And I did a guided meditation where, you were walking along this path, and this was a big mound, and at the first time I did that meditation, I was lost, because first of all, I couldn't find the mound. I didn't see the mound because I wasn't there yet with my clairvoyance.
Right.
Your clairvoyance, as that muscle gets stronger, will help you in visualization, in guided meditations, as well as your psychic abilities. You have to just really visualize as much as you can, stretch your imagination, so you're preparing your mind for these clairvoyant visions that you're going to be receiving. You can also receive messages from the spiritual realm. So during meditation, ask and visualize a door in front of you. Imagine yourself opening the door, and as you open the door, on the other side of the door, you're going to receive an image or a symbol on the other side, and you just trust whatever comes to you, even if it doesn't make sense. Write it down, and over time, you're going to refine your ability there to interpret your clairvoyant insight. The next would be practice scrying, and we've talked about scrying before. Scrying is a great way to communicate also with the spirit world, your guides and everything. And scrying is a practice that's very, very old. It's basically involve you gazing into a reflective surface and receiving visions or insights. Some people use a crystal ball for that, or a bowl of water, a mirror, or a flame for a candle. Kim, have you tried scrying?
I have. I've done the candle one before. I have.
I've done the candle. The mirror one's I've done the mirror, but I think the candle one was more comfortable for me.
Seeing things in mirrors, that freaks me out sometimes. I'm not comfortable with that when I see things in mirrors and I turn around and it's not there. So I'm not.
Yeah,
because
like mirrors are a portal too.
Right.
So I'm not always comfortable with the mirror thing.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I'm totally there with you, because it's like going, I don't want to be staring into this, and is this a portal? Like, so if you're not comfortable with mirrors, you don't have to do the mirror. You can do a crystal ball, bowl of water, or flames. But it's basically helping you to tap into your subconscious mind. And of course, that's where the clairvoyant images are going to come from.
Mm-hmm.
You need to create a space that is comfortable, where you won't be disturbed. You want to focus your attention on whatever surface you're going to use for the scrying. And you want to keep your gaze soft and relaxed. So don't do like the high intense creepy stare thing. Just have a soft gaze, relax. Don't strain your eyes. Don't try too hard to see anything. And just, to me, it's a way of meditating with your eyes open.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
Yeah, and just let your mind enter into a meditative state, and let images, shapes, symbols, whatever, just come into your mind. You know what? You may not see anything at first, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're starting, if it's not a muscle you've used, you're just starting to develop it. But the more times you do it, the more practice with anything, the more that the visions will flow, because you have to be able to relax to be able to get to visions. This is a very gentle way to develop your clairvoyance abilities, because you're in a trance, so to speak, by just staring at the flame or whatever, and your subconscious just takes over the process. And the more you do it over time, you're going to get clearer and more vivid images to help you trust in your clairvoyance gifts.
Mm-hmm.
And this one's a big one for Kim, connecting with nature.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many times Kim's mentioned it on the podcast, how nature is healing, or how it helps with different abilities. And it's very grounding, for one thing. But it's a great way to help with your clairvoyance, because you have the vibration of the natural world, spirit energy. So when you spend time outdoors, you're connecting with these subtle frequencies that you can't get in a busy area. Basically, you want to just try walking in the woods, or sitting by the ocean, spending time in your garden. But when you do this, you want to pay attention to any images, sensations that arise in your mind. Nature can help clear a lot of the mental clutter that can block your inner visions. And it's kind of like, when you're concentrating on your gardening, it's the same as concentrating on your breathing techniques, or when you're driving down the road and you zone out.
Yeah.
It's the same. You're going to use natural elements to help your clairvoyance. So let's say you're by a stream. You're going to be gazing into the flowing stream. Or you're sitting by a fire, outdoor fire. You just stare at the flames. These elements can act just like with scrying, mirrors for your subconscious, and help bring forward truths and insights. Whatever images you get, you just need to trust the image to come to your mind, and don't be afraid to interpret them symbolically, because I think a lot of people freak out. Oh my gosh, I just saw this symbol, and what does it mean? And then we go on Google
Yeah.
and we try to Google this symbol. Well, maybe spirit will show you what that is. Usually not for me. I try to Google it. I'm like, that makes no sense. A symbol for me might mean, let's say if I see the letter C, that might mean something different to Kim or my sister Julie than it does to me.
Mm-hmm.
Or it might mean the same to the three of us.
Yeah.
It's just whatever that symbol is for you, the internet may not know what that symbol is supposed to mean for you.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, like when we have a dream, the first thing, after you write it in your journal, what's the first thing we do? Kim, we Google, what did this dream mean? I dreamt last night that I had a pair of glasses and that they were twisted in the middle, where the center goes over your nose.
Mm-hmm.
They were twisted. And I'm thinking, well, how can I wear these today? that was the first thing that popped into my head in my dream. I wasn't upset. I wasn't like, how did that happen? I'm like, well, I just can't wear these today. So I Googled it, and it said something about twisted vision. And I'm like, what? Twisted vision? I don't think that's right. So don't Google your symbol. Figure out what your symbol is. Ask Spirit to guide you on what that symbol means. And you may not want to share what that symbol means with others.
Right.
You don't need a naysayer going, that's not what that means.
Right.
Well, they don't know what it means to you. So keep a journal of your symbols, what they mean, and go back and revisit and make sure that's still resonating with you. But don't share your symbols with people, because you're going to have someone who doesn't have the ability that will be a little jealous or can't figure out their symbols and be mad that you did.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to be negative, but there are those in the world that don't like to see people happy or do not like to see others succeed. And if you have a psychic breakthrough, you'll find out quickly who your true friends are when you start telling them about your psychic breakthrough. So write down your symbols and just kind of trust that this symbol's for you and this is what it means. And then you'll get more hits.
Yep.
All right. And then, very important when trying to develop your clairvoyance, is working with your spirit guides. And as you've gone through this process, your confidence should be growing. If you've gone from meditating to these different steps and working on the process, you're more than ready to communicate with your spirit guides. And you may already be communicating with your spirit guides with your other clairs, but your guides love to step in and help with any of your psychic development, because that means they can talk to you more and they can communicate with you more. So they're ready. They're like, put me in, coach. Let's do this. Mm-hmm. So work with your guides on developing your clairvoyance. Your guides are at a higher realm. So they a lot of times do communicate with us through symbols, visions, impressions, because they're at a totally different vibration than we are. And so sometimes that's the easiest way to communicate, is showing you symbols or visions or impressions. So, to connect with them, you want to simply just ask their guidance during meditation or quiet reflection. And you could basically say something like, I am open to receiving guidance from my spirit guides. Not too complex, is it?
Nope.
Pretty easy.
Yep.
It's not an eloquent speech with a lot of words. It's just, I'm open to receiving guidance from my spirit guides. As you open yourself to their messages, you may see flashes of light or colors or images in your mind's eye. Trust these impressions. Don't freak out, Kim. It's okay.
Yeah.
They're often signs that your guides are communicating with you. So I've had times where I meditate and I see colors. Or I've had times where I was getting a facial and I was seeing colors. But I was seeing a lot of the purples because she was, massaging my face, my third eye was going, yeah, that feels good. Because I was seeing a lot of purple. But that puts you in a meditative state. Mm-hmm. Kim's not one for people touching her as a massage, so she's probably not going to go get a facial.
Nope.
But I saw colors. I sometimes see colors when I'm meditating. Those are all signs that your guides are trying to communicate with you. So if you see flashes of light, colors, images, they're trying to talk to you. The more that you work with your guides, the stronger your clairvoyance connection will become, because, like I said, that's the easiest way for them to communicate with you, is through the pictures, symbols, the little mini movies. So when you get those, that's a guide trying to talk to you, or your guide trying to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
The more that you grow spiritually and the more that you develop your clairvoyance abilities, the more your guides are going to communicate with you. And then here is what you all were waiting for. You need to keep a clairvoyant journal. I know journaling's come up how many times? The clairvoyant journal is a great way to track your progress. Just like you guys have a dream journal, why not a clairvoyant journal? That will help you with your abilities, because this journal is only dedicated to one thing, and that's your visions, impressions, intuitive nudges, pictures you've seen, the lights, everything that has to do with your clairvoyant development is put in this journal. When you do that, then you're going to start to see, just like with the dream journal, patterns emerging.
Mm-hmm.
When you acknowledge those patterns, then you're going to get more confident in your clairvoyant insights. In the journal, you want to include the details of any vision that comes to you, what it felt like, what was the emotion of the vision, what was the sensation you experienced. You want to write all that down, and that will help you tune into your clairvoyant style. Each psychic ability is different. So your clairvoyance is not going to act like your clairaudience. It's a totally different clair.
Mm-hmm.
Clairvoyance may manifest in you in a unique way than it does with me or someone else. It's just basically how your mind is perceiving the images that Spirit's giving to you through your third eye. So that's what I was saying earlier, the letter C might be something different to you in your clairvoyant journal than it is to me. Or if you see a dog,
Right.
what does that dog represent in your journal versus what that dog represents to me?
Right.
So you want to go through your journal regularly to reflect on your growth. Because I think a lot of times when we're developing things like our clairs, or we're trying to develop our oracle readings, or any of the psychic toolbox items, we don't realize how far we've come in our development.
Oh, definitely.
That we kind of still think of us as newbies.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not to be arrogant or to be cocky, but it's a way of, that's a great job so far. That's an add a girl situation or add a guy situation. Go back and review your journal so you know how you've grown in that clair or whatever psychic development you're working on. And it's kind of that nice, wow, this is great. I'm now seeing this when I wasn't seeing this before. That helps with your confidence in your abilities.
Definitely. Yep.
You have to trust the process. It doesn't develop overnight. Just like you cannot learn tarot overnight. You cannot learn so many of these techniques overnight because it requires development. You're going to have moments of doubt. You're going to have moments of frustration. And so you just have to be patient and just be consistent and just be open. You just have to trust that your abilities will unfold in their own time, in their own way, and when you're ready. So doubt and fear can actually block your clairvoyance abilities. And Kim, you and I both know we've experienced the doubt and fear on almost any of our psychic abilities, haven't we?
Well, I've doubted it on all of mine until I started
Yeah.
realizing that's what
Doing
was
the work.
happening. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's common. I think I've done that. Julie told me I was an empath. I'm like, whatever. Don't know what that is, but whatever. Because doubt, fear of what the heck is that? I don't know what she's talking about. And so therefore it's no, which did block abilities. Doubt and fear is a bad thing. So you want to stay as much positive and believe in yourself as you can during any development process with your psychic abilities. You need to trust your inner visions, and then the stronger it will become. Remember that clairvoyance is a gift that anyone can develop, and by embracing the process with an open heart, you'll allow your psychic abilities to come around naturally. Obviously, developing any of your clairs is going to be a personal and spiritual journey that is going to require patience, practice, and trust. I think that these are some simple methods that you could do that are easy, and that maybe you could be gentle with yourself on doing these practices so you don't be too hard on yourself. You're basically enhancing abilities you already have. Because as we've told many times, everybody has psychic abilities. It's just to what degree, and are you willing to admit you have it?
Yeah.
You need to trust in your abilities and allow your spiritual gifts to shine.
Definitely.
And that's what I have for clairvoyance.
That's wonderful.
Anything you want to add to that, Kim?
No, I think I'm good. This next one we're going to talk about is going to be a real quickie. It's not going to be a long one. It is clairgustance, and it is the ability to experience the physical sensations of taste quite randomly.
You have experienced this one.
Yes, I have experienced this one. I actually experience it quite a lot. But this one also goes along with clairalience, but we will be covering that one on another episode. But yes, I experience this tasting a lot, especially whenever I'm meditating. Even in my dreams. So the weird part about this one, the things that being taste, it isn't always food. It could be a dirty sock. It could be,
Oh, see, now,
a tree, plants.
I just went with food, like
Yeah.
food or maybe cigarette smoke. Like, you taste smoke.
Yeah.
I would not have thought dirty socks.
Well, you can smell mold in the air. You can taste mold in the air. There's different
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
There's different things that you can taste because of the smell, or you taste it before you really smell it. I don't know. I've had that happen too. It happens in my dreams as well. So the sense of taste, it is a powerful tool, and it can bring forth very, very strong emotions. It has the ability to make you feel nostalgic or happy or sad, homesick, because the taste, you have a relationship with that taste and where you've been or what you're experiencing. When you're tasting something that you've not intentionally put in your mouth, the taste just is all of a sudden in your mouth. It could bring on these different feelings and emotions and such. And that could be a sign from spirit giving you a message for whatever purpose. Now, if you have a strong sense of taste, like you love cooking and you love going to a nice restaurant and really not just eating the food, but you're tasting the food and acknowledging how good it is and how the smells are and everything, then you probably have this ability within you to develop. Of course, it can be weird sometimes because this comes with when you're meditating as well. You'll just all of a sudden be sitting there meditating, and I had one time where I was meditating and all of a sudden I was tasting Mom's apple crumb pie.
Ooh, that was a good pie.
Yeah, just while meditating. Now, this wasn't before she passed. This was before she passed. This wasn't after she transitioned. So what did that bring to me while I was meditating? It was like, oh, yeah. Oh, man, that tastes so good. So home, holidays, just joy. So those were the feelings it brought me. So I could have been I was experiencing communication between me and spirit about something joyful. And that's the message I was getting. But why was I getting that message? That's when you have to determine what that means. So when all of a sudden you get that taste, you know how you've related it to, who you've related it to, how it made you feel, and you're getting that message. Usually it's from someone from the spirit world that you're getting these messages from. Well, as you call it, the psychic hit. That's what you're getting, is the psychic hit. And I've had this in dreams as well. I know I said that earlier, but have you had that experience where you are dreaming and you can really taste that glass of wine that you're drinking in your dream, or the cherry that you've picked off the tree?
No, I don't dream about eating or drinking, it seems, because I'm trying to think, like, I drink wine in the real world, so I don't drink it at night when I'm sleeping. Just kind of I'm like, I don't recall ever eating or drinking in a dream.
Really? Oh,
Weird. But see, that this is a Claire that's very strong with you, so that would make sense that you do that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I've had dreams about food since I was a child. I always thought it was a compulsion, food addiction or whatever, because I'm drinking about or dreaming about food. But no, that
You're drinking about food.
drinking about food. Yeah.
It's funny. It's like when I'm like, I don't ever recall eating or drinking in a dream.
Yeah. Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. I've had the dreams, and I can even remember in the dreams saying, oh, this tastes wonderful, or oh my gosh, where did that come from? That's awful. All right, so
Oh.
anyway.
Okay.
But these are the psychic hits. That's what I've experienced with it. To develop clairgustance, this psychic ability, it can be extremely helpful when you're wanting to connect with the spirit world. So if you find yourself being drawn to this, you need to start looking at developing this ability. And of course, like Carrie said earlier, the first way is meditation. Everything involves around meditation. It always helps calm your mind and everything. What we're trying to do is connect our mind and our body. So just sit down and meditate and use the breathing exercises that Carrie's talked about as well to connect your mind and body. And this connection is really important when it comes to clairgustance, as we are using a physical sense in the spiritual world. By meditating, we can open up that bridge between that spiritual and the physical world. When you are calm and relaxed, imagine different flavors. Think about a strong and powerful taste that you love and try to visualize it. Try to just totally recreate that in your mind's eye while you're meditating. When you are imagining that strong taste that you're getting, you'll probably feel the sensation in your mouth, which I've had before. I've even woke up with a sore tongue because I bit my tongue in my sleep because I was eating something.
Really?
Yes.
You poor thing. I'm so sorry.
So concentrate on that link between your mind and your body and focus on, open yourself up to receiving a message from spirit via taste and how you are reacting to that taste. Another exercise you can do when you're meditating is to ask spirits for help. Your spirit team and deceased loved ones are always there with you, so you just ask them for help. Ask them to bring forward a taste that they loved or a taste that was important to them. If you can, think about foods and tastes which remind you of them, like Mom's apple crumb pie, and use this as a way of connecting to the spirits. Remember, like Carrie said, don't feel frustrated or down upon yourself for anything if you do not taste anything right away. Like any other clairs, it takes the practice and patience in order to master it. And another way to develop this skill is develop your palate. Go out into the world and try new things to eat so that you're getting the knowledge of how that particular food tastes. So if you get that taste in your mouth, you can relate to what it is. For instance, the taste of a good persimmon. A lot of people may not know what a nice ripe persimmon tastes like or what a just under ripe persimmon tastes like. But once you eat it and you can tell the difference between the two, and that taste comes to you when you haven't eaten it, just out of the blue while meditating or dreaming or whatever, then you know that's a persimmon. And how did you feel at that time when you ate it? So you're going to develop your palate. Now, you know what it's like to eat a persimmon that is not ripe.
Okay, that was a grandma moment.
Yes, it was.
That was a grandma moment.
Totally. Persimmon wasn't even on my mind until just then. So
Grandma loved to take us get persimmons, and we had to pick them off the ground.
Yep, they were the ripe ones.
Those were the ripe ones.
Yep.
Those were the ripe ones, and it was hard at first for us to figure that out. Like, well, Mom doesn't let us pick up apples off the ground when we go apple picking.
Yep. But you can't pick them off the tree. They are not ripe yet.
No, they're not ripe yet. Yeah.
Terrible thing in your mouth.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next way you can...
That was a memory moment.
That was a memory moment. Sorry, people. So the next thing you can do to help develop clairgustance is the taste and smells of things are so intertwined. When you're remembering a taste from your childhood, you're more than likely to remember the smell too. In dreams, the smell is just so much stronger, and the taste is as well. In dreams, they're just more pronounced. I know I can speak of that from experience, so I'll go on from the dreams. The majority of our sense of taste, it is actually tied to smell. But like I said, we're going to cover that probably next time. In order to develop our clairgustance, we must not develop just the taste, but we also have to work with the smell. Connecting with all your different senses is a great way to use them spiritually and allow yourself to open up to spirits and angels who are wanting to connect with you. You can test your ability and to develop it. Just test yourself. Get a friend to tell you when they are eating, but not to tell you what they are eating. When they have informed you they are eating, just sit down, close your eyes, and focus on your friend. Imagine them in your mind, see them eating, open up that psychic bridge between you and them, and then you can tune into your friend and try to experience or feel, taste what they're eating and see if it comes into your mouth. And if you get a taste of salt or a fruit like an orange or a lemon that's pronounced, whatever it is they're eating, if you get a taste in your mouth when you're connecting with them, tell them what you're getting and see if you're right. But don't get upset if you're not right. That's just one of the things that you just have to work on. It takes time.
I think the first time you're wanting so hard to do it that you're just guessing.
You're just guessing. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have not done
that's
this.
Human nature. I can see you doing this with your daughter.
Yeah, well.
You guys are so linked together.
Yeah. I'm sure we have done it. I've gotten taste before for something in my mouth, and she brings it home from after work and is getting ready to cook it up. I'm like, oh, you're making tacos, huh? She says, well, how'd you know that? Even though I haven't seen what's in the bag. I've already tasted it, so yeah.
Well, as long as it tasted good.
It did. That's all I have on clairgustance. You can look online about it, but the primary thing is to focus on taste.
I'm sorry I hogged this episode.
Oh, no. This is how it is with the Clairs.
I know. We set a timetable, and we can never meet that timetable.
I know.
That just shows how important Clairs are to spirit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because their spirit's timetable is different than ours.
Yep. A lot of things in the spirit world are different than what's ours down here.
I know.
So anyway, I hope everybody does at least try the clairgustance because I enjoy tasting things and stuff. It is interesting when all of a sudden you're sitting there and you just get this strong taste in your mouth, no matter what it is. Sometimes I get the taste of dirt in my mouth, and I know I haven't been eating dirt, at least not today. But
and I think that's what's intimidating about this particular Clair. Seeing visions doesn't intimidate me, which is funny. But the taste of Brussels sprouts in my mouth, yeah, that scares me.
I love Brussels sprouts.
I like them when they're shredded and parboiled and then baked with bacon grease and bacon on them. But when they've been boiled on the stovetop for forever, no.
Okay. Well, now.
So that's my. But you know what? I have such crazy food allergies. I can see why that probably is my weakest Clair.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't want to dream about eating a pear.
Right.
I don't want to go into anaphylactic shock in my dream because I'm allergic to pears.
True.
So I think that might be why I don't have dreams of eating food. And plus, with my birth defect, born with a cleft lip, I have a bad sniffer.
Yeah.
If I can smell it, it's beyond bad. You were talking about the different tastes, and what kept coming into my mind was liver and onions.
That was in my mind too.
Okay. I'm like, I don't know if I want to have liver and onions in my mouth, because That's a big childhood memory thing right there. And I'm
Yep.
like, I don't know about that.
Oh, something else just popped into my mind real quick before we finish this off.
Sure. Yeah.
Clair Gustance, and there's others as well, is tied to the throat chakra. So that's the one you...
That makes sense.
Yeah. So that's the one that the chakra you want to focus on when you're meditating as well, is opening up the throat chakra to help you receive these messages. So,
Well, yeah, and if your throat chakra is, if you're having problems speaking your truth and your throat chakra is blocked off, you may have trouble with this particular Clair until you do some chakra work.
right.
Yeah, that makes sense. Absolutely.
So that's all I've got on it, unless you have any other questions.
No, I just, like I said, the liver and onion things, that's funny. We both were getting the same thing. I was just like,
I
okay,
almost
Mom.
said
Okay,
it,
Mom.
so- Yeah.
Okay, Mom. Who did not eat liver and onions,
No, she did not.
but fixed them for us.
Yes, she
To
did.
eat.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. All right, you ready to end it?
Yeah, we'll continue on next episode with some more Clairs. Don't know how many it'll be.
But we'll get them done. They'll be there.
Right.
Yes.
It's important, and we're trying not to rush this along because it is valuable information, and everyone should practice those.
Yeah, absolutely. But hopefully you enjoyed this episode. If not, wake up. We're done. All right, everyone. Thank you for listening. Do reach out to us. I know we say it every episode, and I know it's on the outro on the very end too, but you can reach out to us on our PsychicBent Facebook page. It's PsychicBent Podcast. We do respond to messages we receive that are not spam. We get a lot of spam
Yeah, we do.
messages.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you can email us at psychicbent1@gmail.com.
Right, exactly. Also, I would appreciate, or we would appreciate, if after you listen to the episode, if you would press the like button, subscribe, comment.
Yes. And I would love someone to comment where they're listening from.
Yeah.
Because, Kim gets notices of different countries or different places of the United States that she can pick up on some of them, but she can't get all of them, right? Am I correct on that?
Yeah.
We would love, even if it were to go to the Facebook page and just make a comment, I'm listening to you from, that would be very exciting for us. And that would be kind of cool. So,
Right.
If you don't mind,
No.
that would be great.
It would be.
Yeah. But follow, if you have any ideas for a episode, we are really open to that.
Yeah, or a story you would like to share with us. We love reading those when we get them.
Absolutely. So we're obviously going to be doing a series now on the Clairs again. It's turned into a series after one episode. We are going to be, if I can say this, I'm going to have Psychic Sister Julie back on the podcast coming pretty soon. Correct, Kim?
Yep. Yes, we will.
All right, listeners, thanks for listening, and we will look forward to seeing you next Monday. We're recording this on April Fool's Day, by the way, and Kim has yet to give me an April Fool's joke, so I'm waiting still. Talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye. May your light shine bright.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast, Psychic Bent. If you enjoyed Psychic Bent, please like, follow, rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. We can be reached on Facebook at PsychicBent Podcast. Our email address is psychicbent1@gmail.com. May your light shine bright.